Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our next session. Greetings to Vilnius and our speaker, Nikolaj Tolkačiov. Nikolaj is an engineering manager with a rich background as a testing generalist, podcaster, mentor, and public speaker. Nikolaj has recently changed to his new role as an engineering manager, where he applies his extensive experience in testing. Today, he will share insights from his journey on the path to success, advancing your career as a test engineer, offering a valuable advice on how to unlock future opportunities and achieve career growth. Greetings, Nikolai, and floor is yours. Looking forward to hear your presentation.
Hello, and thank you, Valida, for the introduction. Great. So I know that it's been a long day, so I'm going to get straight to the business. I'm going to present the key takeaways from today's presentation. So first of all, I'm going to be talking about a growth model. How can you grow as a test engineer and how you can achieve better skill set. I'm going also after knowing about this growth model, you will be able to self-assess yourself and know what would be the next step, how you can level up. Then I'm also going to talk about different ways how you can grow, different strategies, and I'm going to compare them by the way how you can increase your salary, which are more likely will get you more salary. And then I'm going to talk about career beyond testing. So is there any skills we can use as a test engineers and develop further, which will be also valuable beyond testing? And then I'm going to summarize everything, all the tools, and how to use them for your next steps. So in today's agenda, I'm going to be talking about this development model. So it will consist of 5 levels of leadership, and there will be in total 6 attributes we're going to be I'm going to be presenting today. So it's going to be leadership, the 5 levels of coding, 5 levels of initiative, 5 levels of communication, 5 levels of ownership, and then we're going to end up with 5 levels of business. If you're going to connect the first letter of each attribute, you're going to get the name of this model, which is LTISO. Even though it doesn't sound that well and it's difficult to remember, it's just a work in progress. So let's just continue and start with the first attribute. So the first one is leadership. The leadership starts with the small things like onboarding. So level 1 of leadership is onboarding, helping others to join the team, allow them to feel like a part of a team, become more efficient, faster, and just feeling like, hey, I'm surrounded by the good people and I want to work in this team. So onboarding is the first level. The second level is mentoring. Already, it's a long-term commitment for more than 1 month, probably, to mentor someone, to allow them to grow, to find out what difficulties they face, and then help them solve that. The third level is team lead. You already have a commitment and responsibilities to help your team, to help them grow, to hire more engineers, to talk about their salary, talk about their growth, and maybe even saying goodbye to some, which doesn't work well. So it's an additional responsibility from leadership perspective. If we go to the level 4, that would be cross-functional team lead. And you would not be leading the only engineers came from your background. Like if you're test engineer, it doesn't mean that you're only leading test engineers. It could be developers, front end, it could be DevOps. It doesn't matter, and that's what cross-functional team leading is about. It's more difficult, more challenging, and you will probably find out some of the gaps you have in your knowledge, but you will need to fill them in order to be a good leader for your team. So level 4 is cross-functional team lead. And level 5 is indirect lead. It's a leader who leads other leaders. It's a much more complex task involving much more expectation and another group of individuals, not like engineers, but it's leaders who need to lead. So it's much more difficult. So we've finished the first attribute, it's leadership. Now let's continue with this another one, the coding. This one is specifically made for test engineers in order to talk about coding. And probably in your career, at some point, coding might become one of the limiting factors, which will not allow you to grow any further or limit the ways opportunities you can develop your career. So it's better to start learning about it and practicing it daily. So when the time comes, you are able to take this challenge. Now, the coding itself is not that difficult, and well, the first level is just being proficient in API, the way how you interface with the backend. We probably use it in DevTools. In the network tab, we may be checking what responses we're getting, what the error codes are, what the payloads we're receiving. So it's a part of the coding because it's using some of sort of the coding practices. So that's the first step. The second step is test automation, being able to read, maintain, and maybe even write test automation. This is both for API and UI end-to-end tests. Now, if we go to the level 3, that would be reading developers' code. So I can give you some small secret that developers are not that good at unit testing as they think they are. Well, majority not are. And they don't have a good asserts, they don't have a good test cases they use, they don't have a good test data, and they need help. So if we can read and understand what the writing, what they're covering, maybe we can expand that coverage by just giving them feedback. So that's the level 3 of coding. Level 4 would be writing application code. If probably you will need to do some guides in order to start writing the code, but the goal is that you would not be led by a guide to write your application code, but you can come up with idea, not very complex one, but you can develop this application without, well, just searching for answers in Stack Overflow or other sites. So this is an important knowledge in the coding area. The fifth one, and let's say ultimate one, is the in coding is implementing the practices. You need to understand how developers work, what practices they use, what processes are inside that development cycles, so you can help them be better, be more efficient. So ultimately, if you can understand what the problems are and can suggest the improvements to the development process, that's the level 5. So we're over with the coding part. Now let's jump to another one, initiative. And this is by far the most underrated skill we might develop. Level 1 at initiative is just being curious. What's happening? Why are we doing this instead of that? What are the success criteria? How the initiatives are being born and happening? Just being curious to find out why is the level 1. Level 2, just taking the initiative from who someone else suggests to do and just deliver it. It could be simple like team building, like finding out where to get the answers, how to get access the budget, to organize everything. It is the part of initiatives which will allow you to grow even further. The third level is when you're knowledgeable enough to understand what are the problems we're facing as well engineers, and then coming up with solutions and also driving them to complete and to deliver the outcomes you are desiring. Level 4 would be a big initiatives like goals, which involves multiple steps and multiple teams delivering it. And for you to organize everyone and track the progress and track all the issues and bottlenecks which are happening and then addressing them and fixing just to get to that long-term goal. The fifth level would be company-wide initiatives. Let's take an example of building new department. What about the salaries? What about HR? How to hire those engineers? How to get competence matrices? How to write job descriptions? How to get everything set up so they could be working as a team? So it's one of the highly valued skills. Maybe not all the companies have it, like seek it, but it's very, very valuable if you have it and the company who are willing to pay for the people who are able to do this kind of initiatives. Now, we're over halfway through all the attributes, and the fourth attribute is communication. And it starts with the team. Are you able to build a good relationship with your team? Are you able to receive feedback and give feedback? At the end of the day, your team should say that they like working with you. And this is what level 1 of communication. Just be a nice person and don't create an unnecessary conflicts. Level 2 would be ability to write good documentation. this is also part of the communication, as documentation is usually not intended for you to read, it's intended for others to understand. So you need to convey concepts, the ideas, so the others would understand what you mean. So it's a different type of the communication, but it's also very important. The level 3 is ability to speak in front of the audience. So if you are knowledgeable, you know about testing, why don't share the knowledge in the way that others would understand it? Not only documentation, but like speaking and showing something, maybe doing a demo for the client of the product you're developing. So it is an important skill in the communication. The level 4 would be ability to speak in front of the audience about failures you experience. Ability to be still not lose temper, to be calm, and just to speak about things that might affect the whole audience. And everyone is just not very nicely or positive, but you still need to give this message and still, well, don't create more damage with this presentation. So this is a level 4. And level 5, inspiring others. It's a leader who, at the brink of collapse of organization, still manages to put everyone together, inspire them just to give a last extra mile, and just give it all we have in order not to regret it ever again. Just try to do our best just to make the company work. So this is the type of leaders which can inspire you and to communicate in a way that would allow others to perform better, to inspire them. So that's it for the 4th attribute. Now the 5th one is ownership. And it starts, it's simple again. All the level 1s are kind of simple. This is to take care ownership of your artifacts, whatever you are delivering. So if it's a test case, how is it written? Does it have any like grammar errors? Is it easy to understand? If it's a bug report, is it complete? Does it have all the things it have to have? So these kind of things, these artifacts are your, well, business cards. This is how others view you as a specialist. So it's important to work on those artifacts to be, well, respected as an engineer. The second level is ownership for the team artifacts. So we can focus on our delivery, but if our team is not, well, is lagging behind, we could help them to be more successful, teach them, and just allow them to deliver those artifacts as a team artifacts instead of us focusing only on our things. So if our wish to make the team more successful is more important for us to be more successful, is that your ownership for team is more important for you. The level 3 would be for department. You care what department goals are, what are the values, what are the key results are, and you try to make it better. You don't only work on things that matters to your team or impacting to your team. You just care that we as a department would be successful. The level 4 is for the whole project or product if it contains multiple teams. So if you care about the product, you don't know, not only the part you are owning, but the whole product. Like if I find a bug, do I report it? If it's not my team, do I want it to be fixed? Do I want to be like the product to make it more successful? So if those questions, answer to those questions are yes, then you have this, well, ownership for the product. Then the 5th level and the last one is for the whole organization. Do you like its values? Do they match yours? Do you like working for this organization? If you feel resentful, if you don't like it, maybe it's time to change the company. Because if you work for a company which you really, really like, the work level, the work satisfaction is much higher, and you probably are most likely going to deliver much better results if you like the organization you work for. So that's the level 5 of the ownership. And we're coming to the last 6th attribute, which is business. And business is a bit difficult, as you need to know a lot about what's happening with the product, how it's being used, what's the data behind it, in order to be able to prioritize which bug is more impactful, which bug is more, well, causing to lose our customers or the revenue. So you need to be able to prioritize the things that you're going to be working on and then work on the most valuable ones from a business perspective. Now, the second, third, and fourth level, they kind of like equal, but it's a bit different. So you can count them as like addition. If you know one of them, it's you're level 2. If you know 2 of them, it's level 3, and so on. So one of those items is calculating the cost of deciding. So when you make a decision, do you calculate the cost? So the business would be able to make it predictions, or like, okay, so this is the value or the cost we're going to need to pay for it. How you can get the data, how you collect the data from the users, from the pricing, from all the different sources, and combining them into the assumption that this will cost that amount of money. So it's a difficult thing to do and requires a lot of data and assumptions you need to do in order to make this calculation. Then another one is cost of refactoring and automation. So refactoring, and I don't mean the part of the code, but the whole microservice or the whole product. So that refactoring is very costly, and we need to calculate how much it will cost, not only to refactor, but maintain, to switch, and to have a migration as well. So all the cost. Also for automation as well. How much will it cost to automate, maintain? How long will it take to automate 100%? How much of the automation we'll need to do every month by knowing how much features, new features we're developing every month. So all of those costs can be calculated, and it's well, something that quite valued by the business if you're able to do it. And another one is tooling versus manual work. So manual regression versus automation, or maybe automation and play and record functionality. So we can use that one instead of hiring automation engineer and writing the code for automation. So there are different choices. Some are bad, some are good, but what are the prices? What are the arguments behind each of them? How to make business understand that that's the way to go? So that's the decisions which are also like business driven. And the last level, level 5, is like profitability versus growth. So where do you invest your money as a business? And this is like a CEO type of problems to solve, how to make our organization more profitable. And this is the understanding of a business and ability to make those decisions. This is the level 5. So yeah, we have all the levels, all the attributes. So there is actually one additional attribute which we should also mention. This is a 7th attribute, and it's basically what you need to do in your current role. If you're a manual versus automation or versus a lead test engineer, you're different expectations from you. So 7th attribute is specific to your role, what you need to do, and also to the organization. What knowledge you need to have, what tools they are using, are you proficient with those tools? But the problem is with the 7th attribute, it's not very universal. And if you're leaving the company, most likely the 7th attribute will not be valued by others, while those 6 are something that's universal. Every company acknowledges that, and it's not a tool specific, it's just the skills and abilities you have in order to perform your duties. So that one is more transferable and valued by all the organizations out there. Now, we have all the attributes. How do we measure them? This is the self-assessment table. It have all the 6 attributes, and also every 5, each of them have the 5 levels. So you have the full table. What you can do with that is that for each of attribute, find out at what level you currently operate. It doesn't mean that you're very proficient, successful, just what level you're operating at. If you're a team leader, then you're level 3 at leadership. It doesn't mean that there is specific knowledge you need to have. It just basically you are performing those tasks, and well, you're still there. Yeah, like someone trusted you with those. You probably had the skills to get them. So you mark all the levels for each of the attributes, and then you mark them in this spider graph. It will allow you to see what's the overall market value you have with all those skills. It will show you the volume of the value you're delivering, and probably the organization which are likely to pay that value for you. What I like about this spider graph is that if you look at level 1, it's a very small volume. It's easy to get, but if you look at level 5, it's much wider volume. So whenever we are developing the level 5 skills, it's just much more rarer in the market, and it's more likely will be paid well, accordingly to the rarity of this, how easy to find this kind of specialist. So the higher you are and more broader your like the coverage is, the higher your salary will be, well, statistically speaking. So this specific spider graph is my own. I know I'm pretty modest and humble, but let's just go through each of the levels so I can explain how I calculated them. So the leadership, I already was a leader of other leaders, so I'm capable at working at that level, so I have this skill. The coding part, I can lead development improvements and I can discuss them with how it should be working, and it is like the skill I already have. The initiative, I'm not able to build departments. I never tried it and never was given the opportunity, but I am able to lead higher like goals, which it requires leading other teams in order to implement and achieve those goals. The communication, I'm able to speak about failures in front of the audience and still try to be like calm about it, but I'm not able to inspire individuals yet. This is not yet achieved by me. Now, the ownership level, I like my company. If I don't like it, then it's really hard for me to work and to try give my best. So I finding the companies which I really like, and then I mean I know that I can perform well. Now, the business side, I'm able to calculate a lot of costs and compare them, but I'm not able to, well, make a business decision for the whole organization. Are we building this product, or are we just like, turning on the maintenance mode and just reaping the profits? So I'm not not knowledgeable enough to do these decisions. Great. So now we have this. Let's look at junior versus senior. This is junior, in my opinion, and this is senior. Again, in my opinion. Let's look at the skill sets required for juniors. So leadership, nothing. They are not even required to onboard to the team because they're juniors themselves. The coding part, they're good. They should be able to develop the skills for API testing and understanding if the product have this backend. Then for initiative, they should be curious. With the communication, they should be good with the team. They should be friendly, and team should be able to help them and want to work with them. With the ownership, they should care about whatever we deliver. All the test cases, all the documents they're providing, they should be seeking, I wouldn't say perfection, but a good enough result. And business, nothing is required from the juniors. Great. So the seniors, they should be, from the leadership perspective, they should be level 2, so they should be able to mentor others. If you're a senior, you should be able to mentor juniors and regulars. That's kind of expected from you. From the coding perspective, I would say reading developers' code and helping them write better tests, that's something that I would expect from senior, but it's not a must. It's from test engineer, maybe from manual, I wouldn't expect this. Now, from initiative side, level 3, they should be knowledgeable enough to understand what doesn't work in the project, where are the gaps, and then coming up with solutions and then driving them to the completion. The communication part, they should be able to express their knowledge and share it with others, not even inside the team, but maybe with either client or the other engineers. The ownership part for the team level, and then the business, they should be able to prioritize, but also maybe calculating the cost or the value we're getting by doing something, fixing the bug. So this is also would be useful to them. So that's it for junior versus senior. This is how they compared, and you can see that, well, the volume is quite different and much bigger in seniors side, but the seniors do get more, well, money for a higher salary. Great. What about I-shaped versus, well, universal specialist? If you want to be I-shaped, it's, as you can see, volume is not that high, but I would say it's difficult to find a match. Maybe not everyone would pay for this very specific knowledge you have. And maybe there are some companies which will pay you very higher salary for your specific knowledge, but it wouldn't be easy to find your good match. But you would need to spend a lot of time to reaching the level 5. But what about if you just develop all the levels equally, and you would get the higher salary just by, well, being a better engineer and just covering multiple areas? It would be easier to get to level 3 of each attribute than to work towards getting the 5th level of one single attribute. So it's easier to get there. Great. So there is another thing what you need to keep in mind: able versus needed. If you're able to do more than you need from your job description, so basically you don't get a lot of a lot of not a higher salary because you're already like overqualified for this job. Maybe at the salary review, you will not get a higher salary again because you're already like reaching the limits. You will not be developing new skills. You're probably even gonna shrinking your skills because you're not actively using them. So that's a bit of a problem. Now, what's beyond testing for testing engineers? Is there the skills we're developing right now as a test engineers, are they still valuable if you go to the management? So what I've witnessed in the management is that analytical thinking is something that very much appreciated. Ability to find the concept, understand the system, analyze it, and then design it in a way that, hey, okay, if we change this part, this might break. So those kind of insights are very much valuable in the management as well. And well, I don't witness it very often in that level. They kind of lacking it, and we just like want to make rush decisions in most of the cases. Asking good questions, like is it working? Like, we as a test engineers, we're not afraid to ask, like, I don't understand, can you explain this? And it's also a very good trait, like asking and just providing if it's really something that we want to build. Now, as a test engineers, we are able to find answers and help. If we get a bug, we cannot reproduce it, we can go to the client, we can go to the support, we can find those answers needed. So we have those skills and abilities to get the answer no matter what. Now, we do also like to double check everything that we get, not to trust in the numbers we get on the first try. Our wider spectrum of areas we operate, we can adapt our skills. We can do like accessibility testing. We can do performance automation. We can do any kind of testing, and we can adapt to the skills we needed. And we know that we can learn that. And this is a very powerful as well, as we can learn on the fly the things that we need. Our thoroughness, how good we are at keeping the plan and just making sure that we're not skipping any of the steps. Our discipline, like if we can run regression multiple times per month, that's a discipline. This is something that, hey, this needs to be done, and I will just do it because it's required. And in management, again, this is something that's lacking. Sometimes documentation, decision, arguments are not being presented just because, well, we don't have time for it. And we as engineers can bring those competences there. Now, customer advocacy, like we do understand how our customers work, but we're still can represent them, their problems, their ideas, their feelings, sometimes even like the role and the target audience. So it's also something that we are quite familiar, and we can bring that to the management as well. Great. So a couple of minutes left. Let's summarize everything. So we talked about 6 attributes, and each of them had the 5 levels. This is LTSOP model you can use in order to find out where you exactly are. You can use it for self-assessment. Then don't forget to add a 7th attribute. It's also important. There's something that might block you in your current place where you need to grow. So don't forget to develop those skills required as well, but they are usually not very much transferable to another organization or positions or roles. Now, we also explore I-shaped, junior versus senior, and also able versus need paradigms. So they're different, and you need to be aware of the pitfalls. Now, we also talked about the ways how to increase. So the more you develop the attributes from like universally, all of them, or at least some of them at a specific level, the more volume you're going to get from this diagram, and more likely you will be valued as an engineer. And also there is career beyond testing. All the skills we learn, we can practice them outside the testing as well. So it's not going to be waste. If you someday want to be in the management, it's not going to be waste. It's going to be useful for you as well. But you can learn everything from those 6 attributes while being a test engineer. So you can still develop everything, and then you're going to use it maybe later in your career. So that's all the need. That's all the tools you can use. Also, you can use this LCSOB model to not develop your skills, but maybe use them in the next salary review, or maybe when you're going to be using, like going to interview to another company, you can use it to check if you're really well prepared and you pointing all of your strong sides. So you just check everything from leadership. You just need to make sure that you mentioned all the things that you are already doing according to LC's model. This is something, this model, these levels are quite like contrasty, and they are really making the difference. And I believe that the market will value those skills. So yeah, that's it. Thank you, everyone. If you want to connect on LinkedIn, I sometimes post some things. I would appreciate if you can QA them and just find any, like, if it's logical at all or not. There is also this URL link. You can scan the QR code, or you can later look at the slides and find this code. This will lead you to GitHub. All of the things that I'm talked at the table, all the levels are in GitHub. You can use them, you can fork it, and then create a 7th attribute and maybe use it in your organization as the growth model or a competency matrix. You can just like expand it and then use it to measure the levels and help every engineer to grow. So it's a free source model. So please, yeah, use it. And that's it. Thank you for listening. Maybe we have any questions.
Yeah, Nikolaj, once again, thank you so much for this presentation. I believe that whoever was listening to this found very useful tips and ideas from you how to advance in career. Thank you for that. And there are some questions. They will be shortly screened up. Yeah, there are. You can see it.
Yeah, I can. Hi, Nikolaj, very interesting talk. I feel like plateau in my current setup, as our current QA lead always takes initiatives out of hands of others, and you just how to tackle this. There are multiple things that might happening. So first, if the lead is defensive of his position, so it's like king of a mountain, he just don't want for anyone to take his position. So if it's happening, he's kind of a bad leader because he doesn't allow others to grow just because to save his position. I would say if you talked with him and you expressed your need that, hey, I want to grow, I want to take initiatives, I have this initiative, or please, the next initiative, can you share, or like, can I shadow you, or at least can I maybe run it myself? If you express this idea to him and he would say no, then your answer is clear. He just don't want you to grow. So that's a different problem you need to solve. But if you didn't express it and you're just waiting for him to, well, just give you a shot, maybe just take the control in your hands and just approach him and just say what you that you need to grow and you want to run initiatives. Yeah, thanks for feedback.
Yeah, thank you for answering the question. The next one. Wow, what about going above senior?
So going above senior, so this where you tap into your communication, leadership, and business attributes. This is the most demanding ones. I would say, yeah, if you're going for lead test engineer or maybe staff or principal, it's two different career paths. Maybe in staff you don't need to have this leadership skills that much. You don't need to be able to lead and assess the team, but you should be able to communicate. You need to write a good documentation. You need to run initiatives. You need to maybe have this higher goal, understanding like 4th level of initiative is that you have a big initiative which you need other teams to help you achieve, and you like onboard them. You give them a task and you give them the ideas what needs to be developed. So as a staff, I think this is one of the main things that you're going to be doing. So initiative for the staff, and for if you're going to lead position, then the leader attributes should be developed. But the business and communication is a must for both of them. So it's like this 4 attributes are beyond senior.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
Thanks for the question.
What are the options?
The market is always fluctuating, and it might be depending on in which country you are and what kind of job you're seeking. Is it remote? Is it hybrid? Is it on site? I would say remote is the ones which are probably more standardized, and the one on site is more like something that you can like negotiate your salary. So. So yeah, I would say it's difficult to measure because we talk globally and each market is different and the needs are different as well. But now when we have a lot of, like in IT sector, a lot of downsizing, again, it's a different market. So it's really difficult to say. But if looking at today's market shouldn't tell you the answer. What you need to do is just try to develop, and the market will get better or different. But those skills are something that, well, were valuable 10 years ago. I don't believe it will be not valuable tomorrow. So it's still something that you should strive to develop, those 6 attributes.
Okay,
Thank you for your question.
The next one.
Okay. Great. Thank you for your question. So I'm going to read it out loud. I have knowledge of multiple programming languages and 3 ISTQB certificates. I worked as a programmer for a while, but I want to develop myself and start working as a software tester. And the question is, how can I build my skills and what are the practical steps necessary for that? So this is the 7th attribute. This is the specific things depending on the organization. So right now, I would say your main goal is to get the job. So you need to look at the market, what the companies are doing, and what they have to offer. If you already have it work, then you need to look at your current competence matrix to get ahead, just to start working on those specific skills. So that would be the best choice for you. If you want to, like, if you tapped out already, there's nothing to develop, then you can use this LC model just to check whatever you're still missing, what is the wider view of the market, and what are the skills are still valid, but maybe I just completely ignored them because the current organization doesn't need them. So that would be my answer. More specifically, if you already have ISTQB, like how to start developing the skills, look at your current market, like what's happening in your current situation and country. Maybe there are some signs that one particular skill set is missing or lacking. So you can, if you have it, you can then try to maximize it in your market to get the most value. So it's really market specific. Can't give you an exact answer, sorry. We hope it helps.
For sure. Thank you for sharing such a great advices. Are there any further questions? There is, I think, one more. I will ask my colleague to share it. Or it is not possible to. Anyway, there are so many comments and kudos for you, Nikolaj. Thank you so much for this presentation. We are also running out of time slowly. As said, I guess everyone who was listening to this had a great opportunity to learn from you how to proceed in career. And those who were not able to watch the session in real time, quick note, this and all other sessions have been recorded, and please find them at one of many A4Q Testing Summit channels. Any final words from you, Nikolaj?
Well, thank you for hosting me, Valida, and for everyone, thank you for sticking and looking at the whole presentation. If you have any feedback, I'm open for it. Just please contact me on LinkedIn. I'm really looking forward to making it a better model, maybe even partially developing the 7th category, which would be more universal, but still helping. So yeah, any feedback is welcome. Please just let's connect on LinkedIn and stay in touch.
And one last note from my side. once again, thank you, Nikolaj, for being with us today. Thank you, everyone, for watching us. And please do not forget to vote for your best speaker and presentation on our website. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant rest of the day.